Hello, everybody. Eric here with the week in review for October, I'm going to say 20th through, what would that be? 26th? 20th through the 26th. Wow, I know how to add. Um, so, what did I do for the week of October 20th through the 26th? Well, on my channel, I posted reviews for Beast Stalker, which was the last book that people voted on for me to read in October. It was the sequel to Beastmaker. And then I posted a review for The Spirit, which was the next in line for my Valancourt Books Paperbacks from Hell series, reading and reviewing all of the paperbacks from hell from Valancourt Books, Valancourt Publishers, whatever they're called. So those are two reviews. Did a reading remembrances, as always. And I think that's all the videos that I put up. So, did some reading. And what I read was, I haven't recorded these reviews yet. Normally I record all my other stuff, and this is the last video that I record. But I decided to mix it up a little bit. So, this past week I read New Moon by William Rowling Jr. And, yeah, I don't know why I said because I'm going to record reviews for these, so I'm not going into what these books are. But New Moon, and then Low Blasphemy by Judith Sonnet, and then a new book, very new book, Halloween My Way by Summer Cannon, with a great Betty Rocksteady cover. It's a short story collection. And then R.I.P. Ron Ely, who was an Olympian, I believe, and he played Tarzan, and he starred in the one and only Doc Savage movie. So he passed away. I decided to read the Doc Savage novel, The Purple Dragon. And as soon as I finish this video, I will be recording my reviews for all of those. I watched Agatha All Along, the 7th episode. We're getting very close to the end. October 30th. I think I said August because I just recorded a reading remembrances for August 2004. October 30th, the final 2 episodes are going to air. I don't know why they're airing both. Maybe because they just want to finish it by Halloween. But I'm very much looking forward to it. I think it's been a really great show, with just a great cast, interesting story, some interesting storytelling techniques that they've used, especially in this last episode. So Agatha All Along. Haven't watched any movies or any other TV shows. I think maybe because I just keep reading. So yeah, I don't really watch much. Oh, and I'm currently reading Lupe by somebody. Gene Thompson. Doesn't even have his name on the cover. Lupe. It's die cut, but you don't get to see it till I finish it and record my review. Played board games. So, one of those games that I played was Arkham Horror Final Hour, and this plays in about an hour. So it's 30 to 60 minutes on the box, because it's from Fantasy Flight, excuse me, and their games, Arkham Horror, Eldritch Horror, Mansions of Madness, they're long games, take hours and hours to play, so they wanted to make a game that would be relatively quick. It's a cooperative game, and in this, essentially, the bad guys have already performed their ritual. We're trying to end the effects of the ritual, and there's clues planted around the board. There's monsters popping up. There's gates that monsters are popping through, and you have to move your investigator around the board. You have to defeat the monsters, and pick up clues and figure out. I think it's an interesting thing. There's 6 different clues 6 different symbols, 5 or 6 different symbols, 2 tokens of each. And you mix them up face down and you put 2 in this spot. And those are the 2 clues you have to figure out to stop the ritual or end the ritual. And so the rest of the clues get put out around the board. So you have to find those other clues, and basically you're eliminating what the 2 clues are. And you have basically 8 rounds, because there's a little stack of gate tokens. When that's gone, you have one last chance to end the ritual using these cards in your hand. If you haven't gotten all the clues, you have to sort of guess at what symbols you need to end the ritual. But if you're able to get all the clues, then you know what symbols you need. It's fun, and it's fast, and it's got interesting gameplay. So Final Hour, Arkham Horror Final Hour. It's a fun game. We had a good time playing it. Now, very excited about this one. Another game that we played, and I'm going to give you a little history lesson. Let's see. Which way do I want to, what do I want to start with? Let's start with Zombicide. Zombicide is a zombie fighting game. It's cooperative. It's got a bunch of scenarios. You put out the tiles based on the scenario, your landmark tiles based on the scenario. You pick your heroes, and you're going to fight zombies. Your heroes take their actions. They can get traits that will help them. They can get equipment that will help them. And then and you're rolling dice to fight the zombies. And you have different scenarios that you have to complete. Maybe it's escort some survivors out of the danger zone. And it's gonna keep spawning zombies. It can be an incredibly difficult game. When those zombies start massing up on you, man, and you're trying to kill them, it gets wild. Excuse me. So right now, Basic Zombicide, I think there's the 2nd edition is the most recent of the basic. But there's all sorts of different versions. There's one called Black Plague that takes place in Black Plague times. There's another one called, I think it's called Green Horde or something like that. It's more of a fantasy-based. There's a space one that takes place in space. There's one that takes place in the Old West. There is a Night of the Living Dead version. There might be versions I can't remember. Excuse me. And then there's a bunch of accessories you can get, a bunch of little add-ons you can get. You can get little character packs that range from Supernatural, and I mean the TV show Supernatural, and Thundercats, to Monty Python's Flying Circus. All sorts of different, like 2 character packs. They give you new cards, new characters, new dangers. It's all sorts of stuff for this very popular zombie game system. Well, a few years ago, they came out with Marvel Zombies, a Zombicide game. Now, Marvel Zombies was a comic book miniseries written by Robert Kirkman for Marvel Comics, and there's a dozen, I don't know how many, sequel miniseries of varying degrees of quality, including an Army of Darkness versus Marvel Zombies, which was a lot of fun. It's been rebooted a couple of times, but basically the majority of Marvel heroes are zombies now. And when they eat somebody, they basically can retain their personality and their intelligence. But the more hungry they get, the more typical zombie they become. And like Peter Parker, every time he eats somebody and his personality comes back and everything, he's just racked with guilt about having eaten people. But then the hunger takes over and he has to eat more. But there are some human heroes, unzombified heroes left. I'm a fan. Got my Marvel Zombies t-shirt quilt back here. So I'm a fan of that series. And so Marvel Zombies, Zombicide, you're playing these zombie heroes. you're eating people. And if your hunger meter gets too high, the only things you can do are move and attack people, eat people. But as long as it doesn't get all to that high spot, you can do your moves and your attacks and your pick things up, interact with things. And again, it's tons of scenarios and different tiles and everything. And if you got the Kickstarter, tons and tons of characters, but it also came with human heroes you could play, but you needed human trait cards instead of zombie trait cards. Anyway, DC Comics, sometime after Marvel Zombies had come out, not that long ago, DC Comics did a thing called Deceased. And Deceased was Darkseid, the anti-life equation. People are turning into zombies. Heroes are turning into zombies, but our main characters are the still human heroes trying to fight this zombie plague that's taking over essentially the universe. Again, a number of mini-series, not as much as Marvel Zombies. I actually like the Deceased, I think, better than Marvel Zombies, and I really like Marvel Zombies. All of this is because now there is Deceased, a zombicide game. This is Gotham City Outbreak, and this is the retail, the small retail edition that you can get anywhere. Amazon, I don't know if Walmart or Target have it yet, but and in Deceased, you're essentially playing the still human characters fighting zombies. And in this, you have your human characters are Batman, Robin, Damian Wayne Robin, Batgirl, the what's her name? Stephanie, can't think of her last name. Shame on me, but not Barbara Gordon Batgirl. Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, and Bane. And your superpowered zombies are Catwoman, Killer Croc, the Joker, and Huntress. And then you have a bunch of clown zombies. The walkers, the runners, and the brutes are just clowns, generic clowns. So there's about 12 scenarios in here. And so I got this for two reasons. One, it's Batman. It's Zombicide. It's going to be fun. But two, now I have the human trait cards that I need. I'm gonna mix and match the human trait cards and the zombie figures that I need, although they're standees, to play Marvel Zombies using the human heroes, if that makes sense. There is, if you had backed like this huge, the whole giant Marvel Zombies thing, you got the X-Men base set was human mutants versus zombies, and that came with all the human traits and stuff you needed that way. But I didn't get that, so I don't have human trait cards for Marvel Zombies. But now I do. I have human trait cards that I can use. Anyway, so we played this. We just played the tutorial, and we won handily, but I think it's mainly because my rolls were incredibly lucky. We had played another game last week, Eldritch Horror, I talked about. My rolls were terrible. Worst rolls I've ever had. In here, every roll was a banger. But again, we just played the tutorial, which is relatively easy. Anyway, Deceased Gotham City Outbreak was a fun time. And I'm looking forward to playing it again. And I'm looking forward to now taking those human trait cards and those zombie standees and playing with the non-zombie characters in Marvel Zombies, because Morbius, I want to play as Morbius because he's not available. If he were a zombified character, I'd play his zombie character, but he's only available as one of the non-zombie heroes, and I really want to use him in Blade. There's some great characters to play. So anyway, there you go. Those are the games we played this week. Coming up, as I said, you saw the books that I read. I'm going to record reviews for them. Depending on when I finish Lupe, how close it is to Halloween. If I finish it, let's say around by Tuesday. If I finish it by Tuesday, I'm going to pick one more old, like Paperbacks from Hell type paperback to read. And then I'm going to get into, as far as I know, nothing else jumping out at me, I'm going to do my little book bundle of books that have been made into movies. So I'm not going to reveal yet what those books are going to be. If I don't finish for some reason, some crazy reason, I don't finish Lupe by Tuesday, if it's closer to Halloween, then I'm definitely going to just jump right in from Lupe to the books that have been made into movies. I have 4, I believe, picked out. And that's it, I think. That's all I have to talk about in this weekly wrap-up. So my question for this video. One, I think I've asked this before. Is there any other type of content you'd like to see in these weekly wrap-up videos? Is there any content I should be leaving out that you don't care about? Which leads into the main question. I could have just said, hey, I got this new game, Deceased, Gotham City Outbreak, a zombicide game, and it's fun, and we played it, and we had a great time. But instead I chose, and I actually chose, I thought about this, excuse me, which way to do this, and I chose to do the very brief history of Zombicide, Marvel Zombies, and Deceased, and made that decision because I had decided to ask this question. Do you care about that stuff? Which would you have preferred? Are you interested in that very brief history of the game and the comics? Or would it have been better if I just said, here's the game, we played it, we had fun? How much detail do you want when it comes to certain things? Let me know in the comments below, and feel free to go into as much detail as you like. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post spoiler warning. We try to be polite here on my channel. Please like, share, and subscribe. All the usual YouTube stuff. And if you'd care to follow me on other social media, my Twitter is still @Ronin5757. My Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comic books, board games, fuzzy animals, is Eric Smith 5757. That's Eric with a K, ERIKSMITH 5757. And on Blue Sky, where I'm trying to be more active, I'm @EL Smith. And that's all I have for you this week. So until next week, read more books.